Good morning. Last class we have done the budget variances. The difference between the fixed budget, the static budget, we call it as which one? Static budget and the actual budget, we call it as the level 1 variances. 1 minute. We prepare a budget. With that we compare actual results. We call it as what? Fixed budget variances. Otherwise it is called as total variances. And for the same actual level of output, we prepare a flexible budget and we compare the actuals, that we call it as flexible budget variances. That is called as what? Flexible budget variances. So that we had seen. Then we had gone to analyzing the particular variances, like how to calculate material, that is variances with respect to raw material. Raw material, what are the variances possible? Number one, the price variance. How to work out the price variance? See the actual quantity consumed into actual price minus standard price. Actual quantity consumed into actual price minus standard price will give us what? The variance. With respect to the cost variances, if you spend more, it is unfavorable. If you spend more, it is unfavorable. We had seen a question based on that. Then quantity variance comes because of mix variance and yield variance. What is a mix variance? The material is not mixed in the same standard proportion. Look at the last class working. 60-20-20, that is a standard proportion. Actual proportion is not in the same ratio, 60-20-20 ratio. So difference between standard mix and actual mix into standard price gives us which variance? Mix variance. Mix variance. Okay. Mix variance. Then yield variance arises if you don't get the expected output. For example, here loss 10% is allowed, but actual loss is more than 10%. See the standard mix. That is a cost for 90 units of output means, what is the cost per unit? 8.667. Or you can see the standard mix. Okay, 20,000 in the same standard proportion. Okay, what is the standard cost? 1,56,000. 10% is the standard loss allowed. So for an output of 18,000, if the cost is 1,56,000 means, what is the cost per unit? Then simple, expected output is 18,000. Actual output is only 17,500. We lost a yield of 500 units. So that is called as which variance? Yield variance. Please remember, price variance and quantity variance gives us which variance? Cost variance. Okay. Quantity variance is caused by mix variance and what? Yield variance. Cost variance we can work out by this way also, right? Actual cost for the actual production, standard cost for the actual production, difference is which variance? Material cost variance, like that we can work out. I hope I asked you to work out this particular question in the last class. Those who missed the last session also, you will be able to understand by working out through this particular question. What is the price variance? There is a change in the rate. Actual rate is different from the standard rate. Because of that, the price variance comes. That's why we take actual quantity consumed into actual price minus standard price. What is actual quantity consumed for XYZ? Let us take actual quantity consumed. This multiplied with difference between actual rate and standard rate. 5 rupees minus 4 rupees. So we spent more, 43,000 into 1, 43,000 unfavorable. We spent more. This is 6 minus 8. 56,000. This is favorable. When cost is negative, we spend less. Actual cost is 6, standard cost is 8. This one, 3 minus 2. We spent more, 19,000. So net amount unfavorable. Why it is called as unfavorable? When you spend more, Okay, it is called as unfavorable. Okay, in Indian terminology, we use the word adverse. Adverse. In US terminology, they use the word unfavorable. We spent more 46,000, 19,000. In one material we saved, so net is unfavorable. What is a mix variance? If actual quantity is not used in the same standard proportion, if actual quantity is not used in the same standard proportion, then mix variance arises. So how to work out that? First, let us work out the standard mix. How to work out the standard mix? For X, Y, Z, how to work out the standard mix? 90,000 is the total quantity used into 20 by 80. This will give you standard mix. 90,000 into, sorry, not 20 by 80, 30 by 80. X is 30 by 80. Look at the standard proportion. 30 by 80. 30 out of 80. This one is 90,000 into 20 by 80. It should be the standard proportion. This is 30 by 80 again. This is a standard mix. Minus actual mix is nothing but actual quantity used. That into standard price. That into standard price. 4, 8, 2. This is a standard proportion. This is actual proportion into the rate. This will give us which variance? Mix variance. Quantity variance is caused by mix variance and yield variance. Okay. We have written the same. Next. This is which variance? Mix variance. Because of mix, what is the variance? You can also use the word actual mix minus standard mix also. Nothing wrong in it. Standard mix minus actual mix into standard price. This is unfavorable. Yield variance arises. See, for XYZ, what is the standard quantity? XYZ. What is the standard mix? This is a standard mix. Into what is the standard price? This is a standard price allowed. Minus what is the loss allowed? Loss allowed 5 for 80. Loss allowed is nothing but 5 by 80 into 90,000. Loss allowed is 5 by 80 into 90,000. A loss of 5 is allowed for 80 into 90,000. What is the loss allowed? This is a standard output. What is the standard output? 90,000 minus 5625. This is the standard output. For that, the cost is 3,82,500. 3,82,500. So what is the standard cost per unit? Divide this, you will get it. 3,82,500 divided by 84,375. This is the standard cost of actual output. Look at the actual output, standard cost of per unit of output. What is the actual output? Actual production. Actual production is 87,000 kg. We manufactured 87,000 kg. So we got more yield. Expected yield is for this quantity for 90,000 usage. After the loss, this is expected output. But actual production is more. Actual production is more. So we get a positive yield. So yield variance is the difference between these two into this cost. $11,500, we got more yield. It is called as favorable. It is called as what? Favorable variance. I request you to copy this, then we'll proceed. Please copy up to this, then we'll proceed. This is the last class problem given. Please copy up to this, then we'll proceed. Price variance arises because of the difference between actual price paid minus what? Standard price. Mix variance arises because of the difference between actual proportion and standard proportion. Actual proportion is different from standard proportion. 30, 20, 20. 3:2:2 is 3 is the standard proportion, but actual proportion is not in the same way. So you are mixing the materials in a different proportion. Because of that, which variance comes? Mix variance comes. And quantity variance comes because of both mix variance as well as yield variance. Please take up this, then we'll proceed. Copy பண்ணிட்டீங்களா? Have you copied this? Yield variance analysis arises only when expected yield is not coming. For example, for this 90,000 quantity used, what is the loss allowed? Simple, 5 units for every 80 is allowed. Look at the standard loss. For 80 of input, loss of 5 is allowed. So for 90,000, how much? 5 by 80 into 90,000. That is the loss allowed. That is a loss allowed. 5625. So expected output is this much kg. Actual output is this much kg. So we got more yield. We got more yield, which means output expected, actual output is more than the expected output. So yield variance will be favorable. Okay, standard cost is nothing but for this output, what is the cost? 4.5333. So 11,900 favorable. What is the actual cost of materials used? For XYZ, let us take the actual quantity into actual price. Actual quantity into actual price. Standard cost of actual output. Standard cost we worked out, actual output we know. Actual output is 87,000 kg. That into standard cost. That into 4.53333. This is what we spent. This is what we spent. This is what is allowed. Difference we call it as material cost variance. We can reconcile. What was the price variance? 6,000 unfavorable. What was the mix variance? 51,500. 51,500 unfavorable. This is 11,900 favorable. What is the net one? 51,500 unfavorable, 11,900 favorable. So net is, sorry, this is unfavorable. Quantity variance arises because of mix variance and yield variance. So material cost variance we reconciled 45,600. That is what is material cost variance. So whatever we have done is a logical way of solving the question. We'll also go with examination oriented way of solving the question, because in examination sometimes they give a different data and they ask you to work out. So whatever we worked out is a logical way, the way in which practically organizations prepare and report for variances. Once again, I repeat for your logical understanding, because that matters a lot. Many students feel this as a difficult one because you don't understand why do we apply this? Don't think that it is a formula. Okay, price variance is nothing but difference between actual price and standard price into the actual quantity consumed. We spent more. Mix variance arises when you don't mix in the same proportion. 3:2:3 is the proportion. Actual proportion is different. Because of that, mix variance arises. Yield variance arises when you don't get the expected output. Expected output is for this 90,000 kg. If loss is 5 by 80, 5 kg allowed out of 80 means, okay, 5625 kg is allowed as a loss. So expected output is this much, but actual output is more. When you get more output, then you get a variance. The variance will be favorable. Why? Because you get more yield. When you get more yield, it is favorable variance. Then we can cross check actual cost of material used minus standard cost for the actual output will give us material cost variance. Yes, we reconcile. Price variance plus quantity variance will give us what? Cost variance. What causes quantity variance? Mix variance and yield variance causes what? Quantity variance. Mix variance and quantity variance causes yield. There is mix variance and yield variance causes which variance? Quantity variance. Simple, sir. Why are you consuming extra quantity or lesser quantity? Because I mix in a different proportion. The material is not in proper shape, yield will be different. I told you about agricultural products. If sugarcane is not grown properly, expected yield you won't get. If coconut is not properly manured and grown, clear you won't get the expected quantity of oil. So yield variance will come, and because of yield variance also you may use extra quantity to get that output. Please take up this, then we'll proceed. Is it over? Have you copied it? Proceed Parlama.
1 minute.
Okay. So whatever we have done is a logical way of working. Now for IMA, there is a standard format in which we are going to work. I would have given directly the formula and we would have gone for variance analysis, but you would have followed. It's like more like mugging up a formula than logically understanding. Now you should understand yield variance means if standard output is not coming, yield variance will come. If actual output is more than the expected output, it is positive yield variance. Okay. If actual production is less than the standard output, that is called as what? A negative yield variance that we had seen in the last class. Simple. This is the actual cost of material consumed. This is the cost of material that should have been consumed for the actual production. This is based on actual consumption. This one is for this output, what is the standard cost allowed? What is the standard cost allowed like that? Otherwise, for manufacturing 87,000 kg of output, per unit is 4.5333. So 3,94,400 you should have consumed. You should have consumed or spent. We spent 4,40,000. We spent 45,600 more. That we verify through a reconciliation also. Logically also, why the cost variance comes? Price. Price happens because of inflation. Mix. I use 4 or 5 material, mix and manufacture a product. If I don't mix in the same proportion, mix variance arises. Yield variances. If the material is not having the quality, the output may be different from expected output. If the material is having a high quality, well grown, well manufactured, the inputs are very good. That means actual out production will be more than the standard production. Yield will be favorable. If in case of agricultural products, if it is not grown properly, if it is not manufactured properly, if inputs are not proper, then output you have to consume more units. You have to consume what? More units. Their yield will be unfavorable. So mix and yield causes the quantity variance. So we reconcile, we get material cost variance. Now, I request you to copy these questions, then we'll proceed. This is a standard IMA question where they asked, it's an essay type question they asked, report variances. Okay, it was for around, I hope, on the 125 marks area, where they given this particular data, report variances like that. So you have to work out the variances in a piece of paper, right? Material price variance, all those things. Then you have to just report or type the answers like material price variance this much, yield variance this much, like that. You have to type the answers. Now I request you to copy this question, then we will proceed. We'll now go for formula based learning. Total variance is nothing but actual quantity into actual price minus actual standard quantity into standard price. Standard quantity into standard price, actual quantity into actual price. This will give us which variance? Total variance. This is the called as material cost variance. Now, I request you to copy this question. This was one of the famous IMA question. Please copy this, then we'll proceed. And work out the total variance also. Simple. This is understandable. More than as a formula, it is understandable. Actual quantity into actual price. Yeah, this is based on actual. Minus standard quantity into standard price will give us what? Total material cost variance. Difference between actual and budget. Try to work out the first part alone. You can work out along with me. Let us see. See, this is the actual cost. This is a standard cost. Difference is unfavorable. Why unfavorable? Because we spent more. Unfavorable. This model you can apply for IMA for calculating variances. Next, we will bifurcate this variance. Why this? This is like material cost variance. This is like which one? Material cost variance. It's like actual cost minus standard cost. Actual cost minus standard cost. This is actual cost. This is like standard cost. Difference is what? Unfavorable variance. Next one is the price variance. Actual price minus standard price into standard quantity.
Globally,
This is unfavorable because actual price for all the material is more than the standard price. So into actual quantity, yes, for this consumption, we spent more than the standard. So because of price, this is a variance. Total variance is this much. Because of price, this is a variance. Actual quantity minus standard quantity into standard price. You can verify your answer also.
yes, according to
You can verify your answer also. We had seen material price variance plus quantity variance will give us cost variance. Price variance plus quantity variance will give us which variance? Cost variance. The quantity variance is divided into material mix and yield variance. Total variance is also called as cost variance. Yeah, we get this. Now this quantity variance should be bifurcated into which variance, mix variance and yield variance. Mix variance and yield variance. There IMA goes for a different method of working out, We worked in a different way. There is a logical way. Now we'll apply a formula method. We'll apply a formula method for calculating that. That will also you'll understand logically. I hope so far you will not have a doubt. Hope by formula approach also, by logic also, you should understand the variances. So total variance is this much. That is bifurcated into price variance and quantity variance. Have we taken up this? Next, we'll go for mix variance. We'll go for which one? Mix variance. Don't panic. There is some other formula is used in solid. WASPAM means weighted average standard price of actual mix. Weighted average standard price of actual mix. Weighted average standard price of actual mix. This is weighted average standard price of standard mix into actual quantity. Okay, so how to work out this weighted average standard price of actual mix? Simple, sir. What are the things? Corn, wheat and rice, right? We want actual price order values. So take the actual quantity into standard price. Actual quantity into standard price. Actual quantity into standard price. Listen to it. This is a new one for us. So now if you work out 6325 divided by 900. So for the actual mix, what is the standard price? For actual mix, what is the standard price? Then next we have to work out this for standard mix, what is the standard price? For the standard mix, what is the standard price? What is the standard mix? 250, 250, 250. Clear? 250, 250, 250. This is the weighted average standard price of which mix? Standard mix. The difference into actual quantity. The difference into what? The actual quantity. What is the actual quantity consumed? 900. The difference. What is the difference? This into what is the actual quantity consumed? 900. This is the variance. Unfavorable. Now logically also please understand, this is the weighted average cost based on actual mix. For the actual mix, what is the standard cost? 7.0278. Okay. This is the standard proportion, standard cost difference into actual quantity will give us what? Unfavorable. Then mix variance we got. Next one is yield variance. What is yield variance? Okay, this is little different from what we worked out in a logical way. That also you will understand. Pay attention. Actual quantity minus standard quantity. For this, you take which one? Actual quantity minus standard quantity. This is actual quantity minus what is the standard quantity? This is a standard quantity. Actual quantity minus standard quantity into weighted average price of standard mix. That will give us which variance? Yield variance. Directly you can take the total. You need not work out everything. So total is like actual quantity is 900 minus standard quantity is 750. That into weighted average price of standard mix. This is unfavorable. We can verify our answer also. Do you remember? Material quantity variance. What is the verification? Material quantity variance is the total of mix variance and which variance? Yield variance. Mix variance and which variance? Yield variance. Yes, mix variance is how much? 25 unfavorable. Yield variance is 1050 unfavorable. Total is 1075 unfavorable. Yes, we got 1075 unfavorable. So finally we can reconcile like this also. Finally we can reconcile like this also. Total variance is nothing but quantity variance plus price variance. Quantity variance plus price variance. What is the quantity variance? This one. Plus price variance. Already we verified. Or mix plus yield plus price. Like that you can reconcile. I repeat once again. Total variance is nothing but actual cost of material used minus standard cost of material to be used. It is unfavorable here. Because of price, what is the variance? See the actual and standard price difference into actual quantity. Both are unfavorable. Quantity variance is nothing but the difference between actual quantity used and standard quantity allowed for this into standard price. Because of quantity, this is a variance. Because of price, this is a variance. So total variance is this much that we reconciled. Then, because of mix, there is a variance. How to work out? Simple. Weighted average standard price of actual proportion, weighted average standard price of standard proportion. So this is the actual cost. This is like standard cost in standard proportion. Difference into the actual output will give us what? We spent more, unfavorable. Yield variance is the difference between actual quantity and standard quantity into the weighted average price of standard proportion, 7 rupees. 1050 unfavorable. Yeah, we verified. Quantity variance comes because of which variance? Mix variance and yield variance. Total variance already we reconciled, or you can do this also. Take up this. We'll do a question of the same style so that you will get a better grip. in the class itself we'll do, so that we'll get a better grip on material variances. Please remember, we are working out only which variance. In section C, there are budget variances we had seen in the last class, static flexible budget variances we had seen in the last class, then reporting for variances we had seen, then there are multiple variances: material variance, labor variance, variable overhead variance, fixed overhead variance, sales variance. In that we are seeing only one variance, or we have seen only one variance today, that is which variance? Material variance. Labor variance also in the same way, we lower code. Instead of actual quantity, we lower code actual hours. Instead of standard quantity, we'll call it as standard hours. Instead of standard price, we'll call it as standard rate per hour, like that. So it is simple to work out. Have you copied this? All others, have you completed? Shall we proceed?
Sir.
Okay, I'll wait. Note this as weighted average standard price of actual material. Weighted average standard price of actual material. Weighted average standard price of standard material.
Answer.
Yeah. Look at this and try to work out all the variances, applying the method that we applied for IMA examination point of view, all these variances. You are going to work out, okay, reconcile, verify the answer, and of course I will proceed, I will type whatever you tell. Try to work out all the variances for this question. For those who are accessing recording, yeah, I'll pause now. Ensure that you are solving all the variances and proceed with, of course, going through the video. Those who are in class, please try to work out. I'll give you about 15 minutes of time to complete the question. That is all the variances. Price variance, quantity variance, mix variance, yield variance, everything you try to work out. It's a typical IMA question, essay type question that can be tested. And in multiple choice questions also, they can ask any one of the variance. They can give the data like this: identify mix variance, identify yield variance. Like that they may ask you. Shall we? Okay. Actual quantity into actual price, you need not work out. Already they have given. Actual quantity into actual price, you can just multiply. What is the total you get? Actual quantity into actual price. Actual quantity into actual price multiply panna. What is the total you get? Actual quantity into actual price. Someone of you can unmute and tell me.
171, sir.
Standard
Sorry, just a
total.
one minute, sir. 10,071, sir. 10,071. That.
Okay. Minus standard quantity into standard price total. This one. Standard quantity, standard price total.
Sir, 7098, sir.
Difference is unfavorable. Actual quantity into actual price minus standard quantity into standard price. Difference is unfavorable. Price variance is the difference between standard price minus actual price. Actual price minus standard price. $1, 0.2, 0.1. Into actual quantity. How much you get? Price variance
3012.
3012 unfavorable. Actual price minus standard price 3 minus 2, 1.2 minus 1, 0.3 minus 0.2 into the actual quantity 3012. Quantity variance, actual quantity minus standard quantity into standard price. Directly you can work out and tell me. Actual quantity minus standard quantity. Actual quantity minus standard quantity into standard price. 2547 minus 2700 into 2, like that. What is the difference? Direct net answer.
306.
20
306, sir.
306.
3, yes, sir.
Unfavorable total. So price variance is 20, this one unfavorable. Quantity variance is this one.
So 39 favorable, sir. Quantity variance.
39 favorable, 39
Yes.
favorable.
39, sir. Yes, sir.
Quantity variance is 39 favorable. So total variance, are we getting it? Price variance is 3012, right? 3012. Unfavorable. This is 30 favorable. Total variance are we getting?
So 39, sir.
How much? 30. 2973 unfavorable. Actual quantity minus standard quantity into standard price. We reconciled also. Then coming to mix variance, First, let us work out for the actual mix. What is actual mix? 2547, 1725, then 1200. This into the standard price. What is the standard price? 21.2. Then for standard mix 2700, 1485, 1485, 1065. Multiply with the standard price. Am I right? Or is it typing error? This into 5472. 339.1 favorable. If it is negative, it is favorable. Favorable. Yield variance, actual quantity minus standard quantity. Unfavorable. Yeah, we verify. $339 favorable, 300 unfavorable, net is 39 favorable. Shall we?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, next we'll go for or move on to labor variances. Shall we? Everyone copied this? Shall we proceed? Labor variances, let me take from the same thing. Let me change, don't copy this, pay attention. Okay. We learn from the material variances, the labor variances. Okay, for material variance, we use the word actual quantity into actual price minus standard quantity into standard price. For labor cost variance, simple, actual quantity or hours into actual rate less. See, when will you take actual quantity? When the output is measured or when wages are paid based on piece rate. When wages are paid based on piece rate, we will take actual quantity. When workers are paid based on number of hours, actual hours into actual rate less standard quantity or hours into standard rate. This is called as which variance? Labor cost variance. Okay. We use the word price for materials. We use the word rate for labor. That's all. There's no difference. Instead of using the word price variance, it is called as labor rate variance. Simple. How to work out labor rate variance? Don't copy this. Wait. Actual rate of labor minus standard rate of labor. The rate may be either, time rate or piece rate, hourly rate or piece rate into actual quantity. Quantity we will take when labor is paid
Output,
based on
sir.
output or hours. If workers are paid based on hours, you take the hours. The workers are paid based on quantity, volume of output, you take it. Next, this is called as next variance, rate variance, labor rate variance. For material, we use the word price variance. For labor, they use the word what? Rate variance. Quantity is otherwise called as volume. Quantity is otherwise called as what? Volume. Labor volume variance. Labor volume variance. Volume is nothing but the volume of output. It is in case of material, we use the word quantity variance. In IMA, they use the word interchangeably. Okay, sometimes they ask you labor quantity variance. Labor quantity variance is nothing but labor production volume variance. Simple. Actual quantity minus standard quantity into standard rate. Or this can be worked by another method where workers are paid based on hours. That's it. Mix variance is the word we use for material. For example, in case of a production work, let us take a manufacturing of t-shirts. Do we have one category of workers or multiple category of workers? Multiple category of workers. For example, there will be a combination of like 5 people who are involved in cutting, about 6 people who are involved in stitching, about 4 people may be involved in overlocking, about 2 people may be fixing the buttons and other things, and about 1 or 2 people may be involved in what? Ironing and packing. This is a flow. 5 is to 10 is to 4 is to 3. Okay, that is called as mixed variance in case of labor. Material. In case of labor, it is called as labor gang variance. Gang means gang of skilled workers, semi-skilled workers, unskilled workers, like that. So in case of material, we use the word mix variance. In case of labor, we use the word which variance? Gang variance. How to work out? Simple. Weighted average standard rate of actual mix minus weighted average standard rate of standard mix into actual quantity, or you can take actual hours. So if the workers are paid based on hours, you take based on actual hours. This is which variance? Labor gang variance. Next one. In case of material, we use material yield variance. Okay. In case of labor, we call it as labor efficiency variance. Labor efficiency variance. Okay. Same. If they are paid based on hours, actual hours minus standard hours into so whatever I highlighted in green is applicable for labor variances. We can do verification. Labor cost variance arises because of labor cost variance arises because of labor rate variance plus labor volume variance. Labor volume variance is otherwise called as labor quantity variance also. Sometimes I may use a word interchangeably. Instead of volume variance, I use the word quantity variance. Labor volume variance. Why the production volume changes? Because you don't have a proper mix of labor. Okay, you don't have a proper mix of labor. Production either may be delayed or it may be fastened. Okay, so it's because of labor gang variance. Nothing but mix. Plus labor efficiency variance. Workers efficiency, performance rating we expected 70%. Actual performance is only 60%. When the efficiency changes, the volume also will change. So efficiency in material is called as yield variance. Take up this, then we'll go ahead with the problem. So if I remove this is labor variances. In IMA, they use the word interchangeably. Labor gang variance is also known as labor mix variance. Labor efficiency variance is otherwise known as labor yield variance. Volume variance is otherwise known as quantity variance. Rate variance is otherwise known as price variance. Now this question you are going to solve and get the answers today. This is for your homework kind of a thing today. Question is calculate all labor variances and reconcile. So I request you to try this question at home. Okay, it is same like material cost variances. Try this question at home today. Tomorrow what we are going to do is, or in the next session what we are going to do is, okay, we'll work out overhead variances. Labor variances only this much. We'll work out overhead variances. That is variable overheads and fixed overhead variances. Then sales variances. Thereafter, overall variances reporting. With that, section C is over. But a lot of numerical questions can be tested. They will give you variance. Based on that, they will ask you to find out the amount. For example, they will give you this variance. They will ask you to find out the standard cost data. For example, they will give you this data they will give you, or final answers they will give you. From that, they will ask you to reverse work and find out what would have been the standard price, what would have been the quantity used. Like that, reverse questions can be tested in the exam. That type of questions also we'll practice. So it will be like section C, it will take 2 more sessions. One session for variable and fixed overhead variances, one session for sales variances, then thereafter MCQs and IMA examination questions based on all the type of variances. How do we reverse work and find out kind of a thing. So try this at home. We'll meet tomorrow.